¡Pique da piques! ¡Pique da piques! ¡Pique da piques!
Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what's going on? This is Jeff Hartman of the Steel Curtain Network, and this is the Steelers Preview. Joining me as always, Bryan Davis and Dave Schofield. Bryan, what's up?
I love my Thursdays. When it was the 1980s, I knew that I had family ties and cheers and night court. Now I get to hang out with you guys, so you could be my Sam Malone and my Harry Stone.
There you go. I'll take it. Dave Schofield, what's up? Can you talk?
Somewhat. About the same as I was on Scobro, maybe a little better. But I was almost back to normal, and then I had to go pick up my daughter somewhere, and I made it all right to the first time Renegade came on the radio, but then when Renegade came on again on a different channel on the same trip, I just couldn't I couldn't help myself. So kind of lost my voice a little bit there. But I mean, you're a Steelers fan, you have no choice but to just belt out Renegade whenever you can.
Yeah, that's true. The best stick song, by the way. But hey, happy birthday to one Jerome Bettis today. The bus turns, I think, 51. Man, that's crazy. So, Bryan, favorite Jerome Bettis moment? What was it?
Everybody says the snowplow. I got it. I was in stadium in 1997, and I think it was a 25-yarder in overtime to beat. It was a walk-off to beat the Jacksonville Jags. And they weren't playing that well in 1997 to start that season. But as you know, they ended up in the AFC Championship game, and that's where the run started at that point.
Dave Schofield, favorite Jerome Bettis moment?
I'm going to go way outside the box. I'm going to say that when Mike Vanderjagt missed the kick in the playoffs and you see him go, the sigh of relief, because, he never to hear Ben Roethlisberger tell the story of that play is always great. I got to do that, being about 25 feet from him last spring when he talked about that play. But he's like, Jerome never fumbles the ball. He never fumbles the ball. And just his reaction to that, to kind of understand what it meant. To me, when you say Jerome Bettis, I always think about that reaction and the smile after that miss to know that it was all right.
I always think of the Myron Cope, Jerome Bettis. Something
about lettuce?
Something, he ain't a head of lettuce or something like that. But no, my favorite, I'm going to be honest, there's two things that come to mind. And yeah, the snow game. People always say the snow plow, like the hit with Urlacher, which I do want to make, I say it every year, is a clarification that needs to be made about that. But that whole game, it was just a retro Jerome Bettis. He had a couple big runs in that game. The Brian Urlacher play, if you watch it again, he runs over Urlacher after first contact was made. Someone comes up and hits Jerome Bettis first. He runs them over. Urlacher hits the bus has already been hit once, and then he runs him over and into the end zone for the touchdown. That was fantastic. But the moment that I remember the most is when Joey Porter held back the entire team before Super Bowl 40, and he let Jerome Bettis run out onto the field and introductions by himself. And it was just a really cool moment. I remember watching that live thinking, oh, man, that's so freaking cool. So cool. But I have a trivia question for you guys. It has to do with Jerome Bettis.
So do I.
Two-parter, and we're just going to do it now. So Jerome Bettis, we all know he's a Hall of Fame guy. He's a running back, all this stuff. He also had one heck of an arm, okay? And how many touchdown passes has Jerome Bettis thrown in his entire career? Anyone know?
I know of one against Tampa Bay in 2000 or 2001. I believe it was 2001, but gosh, I want to say 3.
That would be correct.
Oh, I don't even have to try to answer.
What were you going to say, Dave?
I was going to say 2, or 3. I was depending on what Bryan said. I was going to go the other way.
And the follow up is his first ever NFL touchdown pass was thrown to who? We'll let Dave guess first.
I don't know that.
Okay.
Was it with the Steelers?
Yes, it's in 1999.
In 1999, I'm going to mess up and say someone who wasn't even on the Steelers in 1999. It's probably what I'm going to do. Now, in 1999, let's just say he threw the pass to, we'll say Cordell Stewart.
Was not Slash, Brian.
Oh, I just thought maybe it would be ironic.
I'm either thinking Hines or Troy Edwards, so I'm going to go with Hines.
And you would be correct, 2 for 2. Hines Ward caught his very first touchdown pass. And the last one was, I believe, to Jeremy Tooman. Was the last pass that he threw. I think the second one, and I can't remember who, it was a tight end. The middle one was a tight end. Anyways, there you go. A little Jerome Bettis trivia for you. That's me for the day.
Do you want my Jerome Bettis trivia?
Sure.
It's quick.
While we're at it, let's do
Simple.
it.
Let's do it. So Jerome's parents went to every single game, and after a while, they showed his loving parents in the stands on camera all the time. Do you know his parents' names? Because they said it all the time.
No. Is his dad's name Jerome?
No, it's not Jerome. I don't even know why I'm asking Jeff Hartman this, because he's just going to give them names. Like
Mazzee.
Stan and Betty.
No, it's Mazzee.
Dave.
Well, if Jeff's going to go Jerome, with his first name, I'll go. Maybe his middle name was after his father, so I'll go Abram.
It is not. His dad was Johnny Bettis.
Johnny Bettis.
Johnny and Gladys Bettis.
Oh, I was going to say Marie. Johnny and Gladys Bettis. But it was Jerome Abram Bettis.
I was pretty close with Mazzee. That was my guess.
Of course you were. Jeff wins.
Okay, so let's talk about the show today. This week, Steelers lost another coach. And no, he did not pass away. John Mitchell, after 29 years with the organization, decided to call it a career. And it was a great career. And you read about it, because Dave helped me out with the article when it happened. And you just see, like, this guy's in the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. First African-American to be named All-Pro for Bear Bryant in Alabama when he transferred there. He came into the NFL, I believe, with Bill Belichick and the Browns, and the Browns leave Cleveland. He goes to Pittsburgh with Cowher in 94 and stays with them ever since. Just a legendary career. Dave, what do you think about John Mitchell just when you think about him as a coach?
Unsung hero. He is not the guy that you think of as one of the main faces of the organization. He meant more to that team, and he didn't have to be the guy in the limelight in order to do it. He was very much an integral part of everything that happened on that team, and yet the casual Steeler fan will probably have no idea who he is.
Yeah, you're probably right. What about you, Brian? When you think of John Mitchell, what do you think of?
I have 3 words: mainstay, constant, rock.
Those are good. And I'd agree with all those. And he's going to be missed. I mean, when Brian Flores left, Art Rooney didn't put out a statement, or Mike Tomlin didn't put out a statement. I mean, you read those statements from both Art 2 and Mike Tomlin after John Mitchell decided to hang it up. I mean, they're going to miss that guy in a lot of ways. And so now you're looking at a coaching staff that, after losing Blaine Stewart, he was still on the coaching staff, whether he was an integral part or not. Doesn't matter. So Blaine Stewart's gone. Flores is gone. Now Mitchell's gone. They had 18 to start. Now they're down to 15 coaches. And you're just thinking, my gosh, like, what are they going to do with their coaching staff? And that's the title of this podcast. Dave, what in the world are the Steelers going to have to do here? Because when you look at the coaches that are gone, they could probably not fill those positions and be okay. There's no way they do that, though, right?
Not 15. I thought it was 36. Sorry for the Mallrats reference there. Just had to throw that out there.
I've never seen that movie, by the way.
Oh,
It's the other Kevin Smith.
Yeah, it's the wrong Kevin Smith. That's I haven't seen that movie for a very long time. That's back to my college days. But you would think that it's not like there's a big pressing need that they have to have someone to fill that job. But my goodness, you would have to think that if you lose your assistant head coach and you use your what was exactly Flores' title? The
senior defensive assistant and linebackers coach.
Yeah, senior assistant coach. that's got to free up some cash to be able to pay someone else to come in and help coach somewhere. And I mean, think about that. That's got to be 3 of your top 5 coaching salaries right there. So for those of saying that, well, what do they do? To me, I say get creative. It doesn't have to be someone to come in and do the exact role that any of these guys were doing, but at least now add a coach or two, and you could add a significant piece. I'm kind of tired of seeing people being hired as passing game coordinators and stuff like that at other teams. I'm like, yeah, maybe the Steelers need something like that. So I don't know who. I still say that the Steelers might try to think that they can find gold like they did with Flores, where they, kind of wait for the coaching cycle to go through and see who isn't hired for a higher job to offer them a more of a lower job with the Steelers, because that's what they have available. Might be the best way to do that. But I think they should, but I don't think it has to be specifically, we have to hire an assistant head coach or a senior defensive assistant or something with that exact title.
Yeah. What about you, Brian? What do you think the Steelers are going to do with their coaching staff?
Get ready for the Owls, because you're going to hear a lot of who, because it's not going to be a big, sexy name. They are going to bring somebody in. They're going to bring a few in, but it's not going to be Eric Bieniemy. It's not going to be Cliff Kingsbury. It's not going to be anybody like that people expect to be on the market. It's going to be someone that we might not know, but somebody that they've scouted and they're comfortable with, and I have no problem with that. But the thing that you're going to notice here is that they're going to do it for however they can go ahead and build this program back up on the coaching side, because it's so much more specialized these days, and you need to have those coaches. And we've talked about that. I don't know whether it was last week or the week before, but they have, Dave could probably tell me this. Now they're down to 15. I thought at 18, they were tied for the lowest amount of assistant coaches in the league.
Yeah.
Jeff confirmed that.
So now they're at the very bottom.
Yeah.
And so you would think they're going to go ahead and bring guys in.
You would think, and I'll give you a name. I could see them bringing in Byron Leftwich as that senior offensive assistant and I don't know, assistant quarterbacks coach or something like that. Like I could see that happening. Dave, what are you thinking?
Well, Brian did the owl thing, the who. When that's actually a good thing when you think about it at times, okay? Because I know sometimes you like the big name. Well, some people complain that Mike Tomlin doesn't have a big coaching tree. Well, part of the reason Mike Tomlin doesn't have a big coaching tree is because the Steelers like to bring in coaches that have been at a higher level and it might not have worked out. Like Dick LeBeau was a head coach, came back to the Steelers as a defensive coordinator. Mike Munchak, Brian Flores, those kinds of hires. The Steelers fans love those because it's not who. They know who those guys are. But if you really want to build a coaching tree, if you think that's really important, like I say, I don't think Mike Tomlin thinks that's important. But that the way you're going to do that is you get those who guys. Because prime example, right now, after being the defensive coordinator at the Senior Bowl, who's a hot name, an up-and-comer that Steelers fans probably didn't even realize who he was when they hired him last year? Grady Brown. Grady Brown, their defensive backs coach. And how many Steelers fans last year said, who? That's a guy that you could eventually see being part of the coaching tree. So if you want to complain that Mike Tomlin doesn't have a coaching tree, you can't complain if when they hire coaches, you don't know who they are, because that's how trees get started. So I'm okay either way, however they do it.
Yeah. It makes me wonder.
It can't be a coaching tree if you bring in someone who was already a head coach. That can't be your tree. Yeah.
It does make me wonder how they go about hiring these coaches. If you think about like a Grady Brown, who was a defensive backs coach, I mean, that guy, you look at his coaching resume in college, he's basically done it all. He's been a coordinator. He's been a defensive backs coach. He's been, you name it, he's done it essentially at the college level. First time being in the pros, though. Then you look at someone like Pat Meyer, and when he was hired, He was a late hire. I remember all of us talking, like, at what point are they going to hire an offensive line coach? Like, this is taking a long time. And it's not like they had a mainstay that was taking over. Adrian Clem left, and then Craig Morgan left. He went to Chicago, and everyone's like, they have no offensive line coach now. And then Pat Meyer, he comes in, and a lot of people said, who? And then they had to take a look at his resume.
Oh, they hated his stats.
Yeah, not good at all. You had to go to Jeffrey Benedict, who had some positive stats about Pat Meyer, and it was based on quarterbacks running the ball in his system. But Brian, what are your thoughts on like how the Steelers go about their business? They certainly take their time.
Yeah, you know what? They shop smart. They don't just go buy the tires at Goodyear. They look around for the best deal, but still not the cheapest deal that is going to they're going to wear out in 15,000 miles. So they're going to go ahead and look for the right thing. I like what Dave said, and my gosh, I've been waxing Dave's car a lot lately, but he's usually right. I like what he said, that they can take their time on this. They're going to go ahead and possibly look at who in the coaching carousel hops off for a hot minute and might be looking for a good gig like they did with Fleury's at the end of February last year. So that might be a year to the day. Was it February 19th or February 17th? 18th. Okay. So we're close to a year to a day on that. Yeah. But it's one of those things that I'm fine with them taking their time, because they really don't need those guys in the kitchen right now. When they need them in the kitchen is going to be more in May. Sure, they want to have them in the room to be able to talk about the needs, as when I talk about the room, the war room, when they're talking about draft and what have you. But with this, you really want them ready for minicamp and ready to go. And I don't think there's a lot of acclamation when you bring a coach like that in.
I think we can all agree that they are going to have to bring in some coaches. They might not fill all those slots. They might not get all the way back to 18. I would hope they do, but they might not. And who knows what that looks like. But, we're going to have that for you here on the Steel Curtain Network podcast. So make sure you stay tuned, because we'll have all that for you. Make sure you check us out on Twitter. I want to mention that. And we have a new Twitter handle. You can follow us on Twitter at Steel, like the Steelers, the letter C, Network. Spelled like network.
If you type in Steel Curtain Network, it'll show up.
Network, it'll show up too. So we have a new Twitter handle. Go there. If you listen to what Yin's talking about.
Additional Twitter handle.
Correct. Go to what Yin's talking about. You listen to that show on our audio side, and it's Kyle Kreis that's been doing a lot of the tweeting there, and he's done a great job. Fantastic. I want to give him a shout out for sure. So, okay. Let's go with, I have a question for you. This kind of teases an article that's going to be coming out Friday morning by our one Tony Defio. And this is just a random question, kind of an NFL related question. And that is, are the Kansas City Chiefs the new evil empire, as he put it, after the Super Bowl win last Sunday? Brian, what do you think?
Yes, they are, with a caveat. So are the Philadelphia Eagles. So are the Cincinnati Bengals right now. But probably the top of the food chain right now, it would be the Kansas City Chiefs. But I think a lot of people were still rooting for Kansas City in this game because it was against Philadelphia. And I could actually see that that's going to stop now, because remember when the Patriots were in it for the first time, even though they beat the Steelers, they were fresh and new, and it was something exciting. And then they win again, and you're like, all right, I'm done with this. And then they keep winning, and then they take a hiatus, and then they start winning 3 more, and you're like, I hate these guys. I abhor these guys. So if you're looking at an evil empire, yeah, they are they're Darth Vader. But there's also an Emperor Palpatine in there. There's also, I'm losing Jeff.
Palpatine?
Palpatine, whatever. You know what, Correckerson?
No, I only know that because that's who my daughter thought that I talked like yesterday.
So
when I was talking like
Palpatine,
this.
tomato. Dave loves to correct me.
He loves to correct
I
everyone.
didn't know who you were talking about. I thought maybe this was some new fancy thing I had never heard of.
All right, I was trying to impress the Star Wars nerds. I am one, but I guess, not good enough though.
Yeah.
All right, I'm out.
I'm sorry.
Back
Dave,
to you,
what did
Jeff.
I don't even know who you're talking about. Dave, what did you think about that? Are the Chiefs the new evil empire in the National Football League?
Yeah, because you're always going to look for that team to hate. And it was still going to be the Patriots until somebody won multiple Super Bowls in recent years. So now it's the Chiefs, and that's when you win Super Bowls in six. I mean, think about it. They're, the Steelers almost grabbed that title by winning 2 in 3 seasons back in the mid to late 20s. 2000s. What am I saying? Where are the 20s now? In the late 2000s. I missed a 0, 2 of them. So yeah, you're going to need someone to hate all the time, and some people are still not going to be over the Patriots because of all the nut times that they won. But it's a lot easier to do that now. And you could even argue if the Eagles would have won the Super Bowl, was that 2 of them close enough into succession for them? Not being the same quarterback, I think, makes the difference. I think if it's the same quarterback, then that's just. If you're a fan of any other team, that's the team you want to be doing what they're doing. So that's going to be your evil empire.
So follow-up question, we'll start with Brian here. Is Patrick Mahomes the NFL's new golden boy?
Wow, I kind of think so, especially when he wins that Player of the Year award, which I got to tell you, I wasn't giving it to him. I was either going Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts, to be perfectly honest with you, and he went in a landslide. Gosh, Hurts was second, and he was the closest, but it was still a long way away. So I might be completely wrong in that. I just didn't see him as that, but yeah, he's definitely the golden boy. He has the commercials, he has the hair, he's the guy now, and he's got 2 rings. And there's nothing stopping him. He's going to go. When you talk about, well, Brady gets those calls, he's gonna start getting those calls more and more. Which, of course, a lot of people thought he got that call in the AFC Championship game. I thought that should have been called, but there were some people saying it shouldn't. But there's going to be a lot of questioning that. And plus, since his wife is so hateable and his brother is so punchable, he's going to be even more of that Darth Vader type of guy.
I can't stand the dude's hair. He reminds me of Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons. It's just awful. But Dave, what about you? You think Patrick Mahomes is the new golden boy?
I'll answer your question with a question.
Okay.
What active quarterbacks for going into 2023 have won multiple Super Bowls?
Well, he's the only one now.
He's the golden boy then by default. That's where it is now. Brady filed his paperwork this time. So therefore there's going to be someone, and the fact that there was someone that just won their second Super Bowl was in the AFC Championship game the year in between them. Was there 1 year or 2 years in between them? I can't remember. I'm getting my head all mixed up. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so that's he's going to be by default.
Yeah. I hate pumping up other shows that aren't on our network, but did anyone see the Pittsburgh Dad video reacting to the Super Bowl?
Oh, I had it up on my queue and I didn't hit play yet.
Not yet.
He talks about how when Patrick Mahomes is walking around on the field, it looks like he has a diaper full of poop.
I always thought that he walked kind of funny. Like
he does.
I know. I have a different analogy, but
there are some things that you can't, like, once you see it and then you hear that explanation, you can't unsee it. It's just like when I saw a video on Instagram. It says that when you watch Kyler Murray scrambling around the field, he looks like a toddler who has their parents' phone and they're running away from him. And when you see a video of it, you can't unsee it. It looks like a little kid, like he has the football, that's the phone. He's running around, getting away from his parents and stuff. I don't know. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, man, I have really done a 180 on Pittsburgh Dad. I could not stand him for the longest time. And Jeff is like, hey, watch this commercial. Watch this. Give him a chance.
Well, it
And I
wasn't a
started
commercial.
watching-
It was the
No,
video. It was the
yeah, but there was a
movie they
video,
did.
but he even had a commercial too.
Oh, okay.
And because I was over to your house for the Green Bay game, that was a preseason game, and we were watching on your computer.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you had me watch that movie, and I'm like, all right, I'm in with this guy now, and now I crave him. So boy, everything I said in the past, we got to get him on one of these shows.
For sure.
I think that I've actually tried. He hasn't gotten back to me. Maybe he knew because of my comments of the past. So, but no, I'm completely on board with him. I think he's brilliant, and I think a lot of it was just jealousy on my part.
Yeah, I mean, he did something so simple as taking his dad's voice and turning it into a shtick that's making him money now. So good for him. Good for him. But those movies they did, if you haven't seen them, go check them out. They're actually very well done. Where
With
you
the
actually
street light?
see, yeah,
Yeah.
Street Light. I forget what else. I forget what it's called, but you actually see his kids, you see his wife. They're actual actors and stuff. Very well done. And the second one, I found myself like tearing up as a father with daughters. And
Yeah.
anyways, that's not
Yeah.
here nor there. But I know, Dave, you're a big fan. I know that for sure. So, my gosh, I mean, it's hard to believe another year is done. It's hard to believe that the 2022 NFL season is now over. It's been nothing for us since the last time the Steelers played, but we've always been like, oh, well, let's talk about the AFC Championship game. Let's talk about even the Pro Bowl. So I'm going to ask you all a simple question. That is, if there was one position you want the Steelers to target first in free agency, and we're not talking the NFL draft, so save your comments about the draft for another time. Free agencies first. March 13th, NFL tampering period begins. If there's one position you say, hey, whether it's your own player or someone outside the organization, what position do you want them to target first? Brian, we'll go with you.
He's going to take mine, so I want to hear it.
You know what? We could go with Dave first.
No, I want you to go first.
So when Jeff said either your own or outside the organization, I changed my answer to corner. Because my immediate answer was going to be offensive line, because you could focus on the other things in the draft. You don't have to focus on that in the draft if you target offensive line. But Cam Sutton is, I think, a priority. I still don't think he's resigning. There's some people out there, some talking heads saying, oh yeah, he's going to return to the Steelers. I think he has his quality of play is there that I don't think they can afford him this time around. So with the fact that you're left with Levi Wallace, who I like, and Akello Witherspoon, who I hope to like more, I really think that they're going to have to bring somebody in, and especially if Cam Sutton's gone, you're going to have to work on both sides. So I think corner is a top priority.
Dave, is that what you're going to say?
No, because I'm probably going to say what Brian might have been thinking otherwise, because corner was the other one I was thinking. I'm going defensive line. I'm going Lario.
Yeah.
Or someone like a Lario, because that's one that even if they took a defense, then ended up taking a defensive lineman first round of the draft, which the only way I'm asking for that is if the right person's there. I'm not like anticipating that's the position they should do, but because to me, with that 32nd pick being there too, I want them to take the best available player just by crossing out a few positions that they don't need and then just take it. So it could be there. Regardless, they still need, I think, to sign either Larry O or somebody else like that in free agency.
So if I'm going to give you another position, because I agree with both of you, the corner and defensive line, I would go inside linebacker as well.
That's
And
the third one. It was those three.
It was, well, and I'd throw in safety too.
That's true. Well, yeah, because of their own guys there too.
You got to do something there. There's a lot of holes in the defensive side. We'll be diving headfirst into this, I'm sure, in the coming weeks. Go ahead, Dave.
And I was going to say, for anyone that was thought offensive line, to me, offensive line, what they have coming back from last year is all right. I don't see them spending more money. They spent the money on it last year and didn't use the draft. This is the year that you draft offensive linemen.
I agree, because you don't need them to start right away. They could, but you don't need them to start right away. So, to me, like I was sitting there thinking about, I was like, man, safety. they find themselves in the same position this year that they found themselves in a year ago. When you think about it, Terrell Edmonds was going to be a free agent. There was no DeMonte KZ. Who else did they have last year as their depth? Carl Joseph at the end of the year?
Carl Joseph and Killebrew.
I didn't even realize Carl came back.
Yeah, we got hurt. He got hurt in the preseason, and he was done for the year. So,
and then Trey Norwood, but really this is the free safety.
He's more of a corner, I think, than anything.
No, he's. Yeah. I mean, he played safety. Well, let's just say this: if DeMonte KZ doesn't come back to play against New Orleans, then it would have been Norwood when Minkah Fitzpatrick was out with the appendectomy.
Right. Now, if you had to choose Edmonds or KZ, which one would you go after first, Brian?
Oh my gosh, that's really tough. That's really tough. I'm probably going to, it's like 51-49 or 50.5 to 49.5 because I would keep them both, but maybe I would give that arrow to Edmonds because you know if he signs another deal that he's probably here forever at that point, and how well he complements Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's going to be here for a long time too. So I like KZ a lot, but I think the body of work with Edmonds, and especially the way it's been lately, yeah, I got to go with him. All
right, Dave, you agree or disagree?
Oh, I think I'll go with Terrell KZ. No, maybe I might go with DeMonte Edmonds. No, I would love to have both of them in the role that they had, but if you could only choose one, I give the nod to Edmonds.
All right, I'm going to be correctors in it real quick. It's Fedarius KZ.
Yeah,
I'm just glad we're all saying the last name correctly. I hear Jeffrey Benedict say Kazi all the time. Like, oh my gosh, Jeffrey! Like the guy's been here for an entire season. Like it's not Kazi.
You still say Larry Ogunjobi.
I haven't said that in a long time.
You still say goon instead of gun.
I don't.
Yeah. Listen back.
So, okay. We talk about free agency, and whether you're talking about Steelers, like your own players, or acquiring anyone else, they're gonna have to create space. I mean, I think what the Dave said, the last salary cap update, they had like $500,000. That's about it in salary cap space. When you can think about all the reserve contracts, they are going to have to free up money. The question is how. How would you free up money, Brian, if you were the Steelers? I mean, you can't just go to the money tree and get more. You're going to have to make some moves. What are you doing?
All right, I'm going to pull out the patented bad response that I say ad nauseum. Omar Khan can find money in the couch cushions like nobody else. So he's going to restructure. You know those deals are going to get restructured. You know there's going to be a cap casualty here and there, which a lot of people, I mean, this is debatable, but, how much do you really want to keep Mitch Trubisky? So you look at that big picture. How much is Mitch a veteran replacement? So if a veteran replacement is not going to save you what Mitch is going to cost you, you're going to keep Mitch probably in that situation. So there's going to be opportunity to, do some trimming. There's, like I said, there's going to be restructuring with a few guys because that's what they know how to do. So there's going to be money to go after some guys because they will find it.
Dave, real quick, how many years does Cam Hayward have left on his current contract?
I was just wondering the exact same thing, and I'm fairly certain he's got 2. I'm pretty sure. Yep, he goes through 2024. So the thing is, he's got a huge number.
I was going to give him an extension.
I would love to extend him.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but because he's $22 million the next 2 years cap number. So the thing is, I don't want to restructure Cam Hayward because then that's going to push next year. I mean, if you do the restructure for Cam Hayward, you could gain, $7 million, but you really want his cap number to be $30 million for 2024?
That's quarterback money.
No. So to me, Cam Hayward might be one you just leave alone. I think you could restructure TJ Watt. TJ Watt is the one that you sit back and you wait and find out exactly how much you need for going into the season. And you do that. And you do what you need. They did that last year. They only restructured him for as much as they needed, which was really nice. Minka Fitzpatrick, because he has the most years left, you could gain $10 million by restructuring him, and you're only pushing out $3 million into the other years by doing it. So it's not, in each year, $3.33 million, almost, we'll say 3.5, we'll round up. So that one probably makes the most sense. Here's the thing that people don't realize. William Jackson III, we just assume he's going to get cut, right?
I would hope so.
Yeah. And he's got a roster bonus due on the 19th. Okay. He technically has 2 void years on his contract that the Steelers owe nothing on. They could restructure him and push the money out in the void years if they wanted to do that. But why would you want to give him that money anyway?
No,
I think that would be foolish too. But what's crazy is people don't realize that's not an option, because they could push it out. But they finally got the void years off the books with Cam Sutton, and they don't have to worry about void years anymore. So to me, I think you're looking at a Minka Fitzpatrick restructure. I don't know what they're going to do with Cam. I really don't. But then so it's mainly William Jackson III, and Minka could do the most. To me, Miles Jack, you could save $8 million, but who else you got at linebacker? Miles Jack could go the way of Joe Schobert. And that was, Joe Schobert was still with the Steelers with a $7 million and some dollar, where they could save $7 million or something like that with last year. They didn't cut him until they signed Jack. They held on to him, and then they signed him after that. If the Steelers sign an inside linebacker, you can get $8 million from that deal right there just by cutting Miles Jack. That's just one of those things. And the same thing, the Steelers say they're going to keep Trubisky, but to me, it's if Trubisky says, hey, I want to go, then if the Steelers sign someone, they could just let him go. I think they'll keep him. Other than that, you're looking at, like Witherspoon's $4 million. And that's really about all you can do. I mean, I guess the Steelers could technically restructure like James Daniels. They could get $3.5 million.
What about DJ?
Deontay Johnson, they could get it'd be less than $5 million. It'd be less than $5 million for Chooks Okorafor as well. But if you do all those guys, you could really make the money there.
Yeah, to me with Mitch Trubisky, I still see, everyone's like, well, the Steelers want him back. What if he doesn't want to come back?
Yeah, that's
and what if it's like a Derek Carr situation where it's like, listen, just release me. I want to find a new team. I want a place where I might have an actual chance to play. And in which case, the Steelers could say, okay. And then they'll save, what, 10? Is it 10 or 8, Dave? Mitch?
For me, it's 8.
Yeah, so they would save $8 million by releasing him. And they would be able to probably go out and find someone, a Blaine Gabbert, a Jacoby Brissett, hell, even maybe a Joshua Dobbs.
Case Keenum, please.
Is he a free agent?
I don't know, but I don't care. Just bring in Case Keenum.
He was up in Buffalo. He was backing up Josh Allen last time.
I love that man as a backup quarterback.
I mean, do you really think Gunnar O's coming back?
No. I
mean, that's $2 million right there. But honestly, when you look at roster displacement, it's really only $1 million because it costs, almost $900,000 for the next person to bump up into his roster spot.
Yeah.
So
something to keep an eye on for sure. All right. Now, Brian, do you have any other trivia or are you done?
No, that was my trivia that I had for the night.
All right. So Dave, you're up.
My trivia is not all that impressive though, but I'll give it a try. But you guys might need to talk about the weather or something for a second.
Okay. Crazy weather.
Yes, that's amazing. I could actually I could give my final thoughts if you want, Dave. I mean, I could do that.
I don't know.
Sorry, I felt the tickle in my throat that I was going to cough, and I'm just like, I don't want to do it right when I start trivia. It's still going to happen. I just feel it. All right. The show tonight was about the Steelers and the coaching staff and Coach John Mitchell, calling it a career. I mean, he's 71, 29 years. Started with the Steelers in 1994. How many head coaches have been in the NFL since John Mitchell joined the Steelers?
Oh my God.
How many coaches have been in the
Yep.
NFL?
Now, remember, when John Mitchell joined the Steelers, there was only 28 teams in the NFL. So,
You know what?
that's how much things have changed.
I'm gonna answer this quick, and so I'm gonna just take. I know there was 28 when he joined, but I would say the
32.
turnover in that time would be roughly an average of 3 per team. So I'm gonna say 96.
I'm gonna go $1.
You think Brian went over?
I have no idea.
You think Brian went over?
I really don't know.
Okay, the turnover is closer to 5.5.
Holy
There have been 179 head coaches in the NFL since John Mitchell joined the Steelers in 1994. Now, some of these are coaches that finished their last year in 1994, like Tom Flores. His last year coaching was in 1994, but that's when John Mitchell was coaching. Buddy Ryan, Don Shula, he finished in 1995, started in 1963, finished in 1995, and John Mitchell was coaching for the Steelers when Don Shula was still coaching in the NFL.
I've got a good one real quick.
Mm-hmm.
How many Steeler coaching changes have there been since John Mitchell's been in the league? Head coaches, go.
Since he's been in the league with the Steelers or in the league?
No, since he's been with the Steelers.
One.
He's not the best for nothing, folks.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty obvious.
Look at that.
But I mean, that's crazy when you think about that. That just kind of puts it in perspective how long Coach Mitchell's been there. And he's not even the longest coach with the Pittsburgh Steelers all time. Because I should have done that as my tribute.
Dick Hoke, wasn't Dick Hoke?
Yes, the running backs coach.
Yeah.
He was 35 years? I think 30,
a long
32.
time.
It was something
He
crazy.
played for the team too.
Yeah. So, man, I would like to say, really enjoyed the Palomalu book by Jim Wexell. Really enjoyed the On the Clock book about the draft by Jim Wexell. I'll be honest with you. I would love nothing more than a book on John Mitchell. So I'm going to have to say, since I've reviewed both of those books for Behind the Steel Curtain, I might have to send a message to the publisher and say, hey, why doesn't he do this one? Because honestly, you would say, well, it would really take a diehard Steelers fan because, there's plenty of Steelers fans right now don't know really who John Mitchell is, and what he was to this team, but just what he was to the game of football. I mean,
it kind of makes you wonder, it's like, wow, would someone like that fight for Pro Football Hall of Fame? But I mean, I know Brian would want him in because he wants Water Boys to get in. But other than that,
I mean, that's true. NCAA Hall of Fame, though,
he's in the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame already.
Yeah, but
NCAA,
I
I don't know.
I think he could get into the College Football Hall of Fame, and the only reason I know that because I was listening to the show with you, Jeff, today or
What
yesterday, the Mitchell show. I mean, the Steelers update.
Oh yeah, they all merge into one. Yeah, he broke a lot of color barriers in a lot of ways in college sports. He was the first black coordinator at LSU, I think in 1990, something like that. So yeah, I mean,
first black player for Alabama,
Bear Bryant.
I mean,
he and another guy. There were two of them came in.
But I think he might have got the first start or something like that. Maybe. When I looked up stuff with him, when they honored him last spring, I had looked up some of the stuff that I'm like, man, this is fantastic. Steelers fans needed to appreciate John Mitchell while he was here, just for everything, everything, and the players. My goodness, they just adore him.
Seems like it. I mean, even like Kenny Pickett tweeted out, like, man, one of the best to do it. Like, he's only been with them a year. I can't imagine with someone like Cam, who's been with him for so long. And it's interesting. It's
Okay. Well, then here's the question. I got another trivia if we have a little bit of time.
sure.
Who were the starting defensive linemen for Coach Mitchell his first year with the Steelers?
94, right?
Yep.
Starting?
Yep.
Okay, I've got that.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Brian.
I figured you would.
Ray Seals,
Correct?
Joel Steed,
Yep.
Donald Evans.
Good guess.
Okay, wait. Kevin Henry.
Nope.
No, Donald Evans. Ray Seals. Oh my gosh, I thought it would be Donald Evans. Go ahead, hit me.
Gerald Williams.
I thought he was
Yeah.
gone in 92.
Nope. He was, according to Pro Football Reference, that was the three starters on the defensive line for Coach Mitchell in his first year. I mean, think about this. With Coach when the offensive line was Dermontti Dawson, Duval Love, Leon Searcy. These are players that we think about. So Coach Mitchell was coaching with the Steelers when they were there. Rod Woodson, now coaching an XFL team. He was playing defense for the Steelers when John Mitchell was coaching the Steelers.
Well,
Just
he saw the Blitzburg defense, all those great early 2000 units. I mean, the guy's seen a lot of Steelers football, that's for sure.
And this, I don't know. Did you guys listen to what we had talking about this today?
I did not get the chance to listen
because in 95, one of the people that Coach Mitchell coached was incorrectly referenced on what you're talking about today, and that is one Brenston Buckner. Because I think they accidentally, they were trying to do a World Series baseball reference, accidentally got had Steelers on the brain and said Brenston Buckner.
Instead of Bill Buckner.
Yeah.
I kind of love that. The second pick in the draft in 1994 out of Clemson, if I'm not mistaken, it was Brenston Buckner.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, this just kind of putting his time with the Steelers in perspective. I mean, think about it. The first draft pick after John Mitchell was hired by the Steelers was the late Charles Johnson.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Coach Mitchell, you deserve to retire, but man, just thank you so much for everything.
For sure.
That's my closing thoughts.
Well, there you go. All right, Brian, what about you?
Well, I'm changing my closing thoughts, and it's a lot due to what Dave Schofield just said. I was all set to rail on Juju Smith-Schuster and really do my best old man shaking fisted clouds imitation because I think it's ridiculous what happened this week. I'm not getting into that. All I'm going to get into is Dave brought up some names. Well, I actually brought up the names because I was answering the question. Ray Seals, Joel Steed, Gerald Williams, especially Gerald Williams. You guys don't know what those guys did for this team. Gerald Williams was great on this team. For a lot of years, he was an unsung hero you did not know. Just like David Little. Didn't know who David Little was. And I've been saying this a lot lately because on my final thoughts 2 weeks ago, when I talked about Paul Martha, get to know these guys, man, I have been going back in time a lot for the BTSC DeLorean, and I'm kind of bummed that I'm not doing that right now because the season's over, and I did the entire postseason, so I watched a lot of games, and it was so awesome. But I could see the exploits of these guys. You guys don't know who they are. Some of them were number one picks. The Keith Garys, the Keith Willises. Oh my goodness. You might not know who these guys are. You might have heard them in passing. Get a book like a Jim Wexell book on the draft clock that talks about a lot of guys like this. And I'm just starting the book, and I'm in love already because it's everything I like to talk about. I'm considered a historian of the Pittsburgh Steelers now, just among you guys, but I mean, not in the real world. No one says bad's a historian. No, but I feel like I'm a Steelers historian. And when I think of these names, I smile because they did a lot of great things for this team. And a lot of people don't know who they are because they're not named Bradshaw. They're not named Harris, and they're not named Lambert. So find out who the Charles Johnsons are, the Paul Marthas. Find out who the Marv Kellum, who passed away last week, is. And find out who Gerald Williams is.
I'll take it a step further because, yeah, those are some of the people that are kind of obscure to just the average Steeler fan. You know, I wrote an article for Behind the Steel Curtain today that was basically just what's your favorite Jerome Bettis moment. We started the show talking about the bus because it's his birthday. There was a lot of people that read the website that said, I was born in 2001. So in other words, they only know the Jerome Bettis of the waning years of his career. They don't know the Three Rivers Stadium Jerome Bettis, like the mid 90s, just acquired from the Rams Jerome Bettis. And I'll tell everyone, like, if you're listening to this or watching this and you only know Jerome from the end of his career, go back and watch highlights. Like, there's a million of them on YouTube, and you can just see that they don't make running backs like that anymore. I don't think they ever will again. Someone that's that big, that nimble, with that much balance, and he did have breakaway speed, believe it or not, early in his career. Just phenomenal. And there's so many young Steeler fans that don't know what he was like early in his career. They just know, oh, he's like the closer, or he's the guy that they won 4 in Super Bowl 40. That dude was a freaking beast. Go and check it out. Go check it out. Yeah. So, all right. Good show. Good job, guys. Dave, are you able to send us out this week?
Hey.
Oh,
my gosh. Thank you. I'm glad Felicia is not in the house. We'll see you next week.
Everybody else gets a little tight.